Here at the CommonSense Mediation Academy, we get a lot of inquiries around how do I become a mediator? And so we decided we'd put together this short little video to complement our frequently asked questions page on our website. So how do you become a mediator? Well, here's an interesting fact. Mediation is an unregulated profession. This means anyone can call themselves a mediator. But it also doesn't mean that everyone should. The best way to begin your educational journey to becoming a mediator is to take 40 hours of introductory training. There are a number of options for how you get your 40 hours of introductory training. The ADR Institute of Canada has a national Introduction to Mediation course. This is a 5-day course, 4 days of material, and on the 5th day is an evaluation. Typically, this course is offered every spring. CommonSense Mediation Academy has an online 12-week program which is broken down into 6 different modules. You can stream into that program at any time. The Dispute Resolution Office also offers 2 programs, Resolving Conflict Constructively and Introduction to Mediation. These programs are offered periodically throughout the year. Next question we get is, well, once I have my 40 hours of introductory training, will I be a mediator then? Well, here's this interesting fact again as a reminder. Mediation is an unregulated profession. That means anyone can call themselves a mediator. But just because you have 40 hours of introductory training doesn't mean that you will feel competent to mediate. And here are some options to develop your competency. Keep learning and practicing. There's mediation practice groups throughout Saskatchewan. There is a regular one on Tuesday nights from 7 until 8 o'clock. This is put on virtually by Zoom, so you can join it from wherever you might be. And then CommonSense Mediation Academy has a workspace on Slack where you can plug in to stay up to date on any current developments in mediation, as well as the book of the month that we encourage people to be reading and talking about. And there are all sorts of other interesting things that you would find in our workspace. I also suggest that you take more courses, watch webinars, read those books, go to conferences, volunteer for role plays, and you could join a pod. POD stands for Professional Ongoing Development. This is a system that we have developed here at the CommonSense Mediation Academy. The PODS program is actually a 12-month commitment, even though it says 2 months on the screen. It's $100 per month over those 12 months, and it has a 3-tier focus. 1, learning and practicing micro skills, forming relationships for socialized learning, and a tier that focuses on business development. There are monthly master classes. September's is always on vision, developing your vision for your practice. We have a master class on identifying your ideal client, as well as master classes around various different micro skills that are super important as a mediator. Now, what if you want to be a family mediator in particular? Well, here's this reminder of the interesting fact that mediation is still an unregulated profession. And that's true even when mediating with families. That means anyone can call themselves a family mediator, but you probably shouldn't without some specialized training. Specialized training for family mediation. We offer various different courses here at the Academy. We have a 40-hour specialized course, which is an introduction to family mediation. We also have intensives. These are programs that run over 2 days, one specific to family property division, one about parenting, one about financial support. We also offer a workshop that's called Drafting Summaries, a Memorandum of Understanding, so that you can get some real hands-on experience in taking the information that is occurring in your mediation room, whether that's in person or virtually, and putting it on paper to help the parties as they go along through their mediation process. You will also need to have some specialized training on domestic abuse and intimate partner violence. You can get that training through the PATHS organization here in Saskatchewan. The Justice Institute of British Columbia offers a program. There's a fantastic program that's offered for free online called The Brain Story, and that's through the Alberta Family Wellness Association. There are various webinars and training that you can take all about screening for IPV. ODERA, Dove, and as well as OAITH are all organizations that you can access training, many of which is free of charge. Some of you might have heard about this ministers list, and you might be wondering, well, how does that fit into all of this? Well, here in Saskatchewan, we have mandatory early dispute resolution, and that is specific to Saskatchewan Family Court. Parties who want to access the adversarial family court system in Saskatchewan will be required to participate in an early dispute resolution process. And this is an amendment to the Queen's Bench Act, section 44.01. Mediation is one of those mandatory early dispute resolution processes that are options available to people. And if parties have tried mediation, but they've been unable to reach an agreement, if their mediator has been approved to be on the minister's list, then that mediator can complete a certificate of participation, which allows the parties to return to the adversarial family court system and continue their litigation. If you are a family mediator but you are not on the minister's list, you can still help parties mediate their family separation and divorce. However, you would not be able to sign that certificate of participation if the parties were unable to reach an agreement. Now, please note that right at the time of recording this video, this mandatory provision is only implemented in the Judicial Centre of Prince Albert. Further implementation to occur throughout Saskatchewan over time. So it's important to understand how you can get on the minister's list if that is part of your vision for your mediation practice. You need to have 2 years of experience in working with families in conflict. You will need to have had 80 hours of mediation training at a minimum. So where could you get those 80 hours? What might they be made up of? Well, it might make sense to start with your 40 hours of introductory training and then have 40 hours of specialized training. You do need to note, though, that in the regulations require that those 40 hours of specialized training includes 21 hours in family dynamics, 7 hours in financial matters related to separation and divorce, 7 hours in ethics, and 7 hours of drafting summaries and memoranda of understanding. In addition to this base minimum of 80 hours of mediation training, you will also have to have had at least 14 hours in IPV training, the intimate partner violence training, domestic abuse training. And as mentioned in the earlier slide, there are lots of different places you can cobble together a variety of education on this topic. If you are not a lawyer, you will also need to have 21 hours of training in family law. And there's some more. In order to stay on the minister's list, you need to be a member of an organization. You could be a member of the ADR Institute of Saskatchewan, of Family Mediation Canada, or if you're a lawyer and you're a member of the Law Society of Saskatchewan. You need to have and maintain insurance, and you will need to have ongoing education. Now, don't forget, you do not have to be on the minister's list to practice as a family mediator. However, only mediators who are on the minister's list will be able to sign a certificate of participation. And that certificate of participation is required for parties to continue in the adversarial family law litigation process. There are many families who are seeking mediation services because they don't want to be in that adversarial process. So we encourage you to think about, who is your ideal client? Are you hoping to provide services for the families that might otherwise find themselves in court, and that is the pathway that they're imagining that they're going to go down? Doesn't mean that they will. In fact, they may be very successful in mediation and won't need a certificate certificate of participation. But if their goal is to end up back in court, you must be on the minister's list in order to be able to sign that certificate that allows them to return to that process. If you wish to service and provide mediation services to families who are really wanting to try to work things out between them and they are not wanting to enter into the adversarial court system, then you do not need to be on the minister's list. Doesn't mean to say, however, that it wouldn't be helpful for you to have that same level of training and experience that is required for the folks that are recognized and are on the minister's list. Some frequently asked questions that we have revolve around the cost. How much does training cost? You can get training from various different sources, and we've sort of tried to think about how all of those pieces work together. And our estimate is once you have all of the pieces in place, specifically if you're wanting to be a family mediator and to cover off all of those requirements that would be necessary to be on the minister's list, it's probably an investment of close to $10,000. You can take your training over time, and there are various options, including right now the Saskatchewan job grant option in order to help cover those costs. What about designations? So let's just do a quick recap here. We've talked about how you basically could get some base education to start practicing as a mediator. Then for those of you who are interested in becoming a family mediator, what kinds of specialized training should you get? And if you actually want to be on the minister's list, what would be required for that? And then there's this other piece that you may have heard about, and that is about getting a designation. So the ADR Institute of Canada offers designations. If you are a member of ADR Saskatchewan, that also includes your membership to the ADR Institute of Canada. And one designation you can get is a QMed, and that's short for Qualified Mediator. All QMeds have 40 hours of that basic introductory training plus 40 hours of specialized training. They have conducted 2 mediations that have been supervised and assessed by a chartered mediator, or they've conducted 2 paid mediations and then they report those as part of their application process. If you want to be a chartered mediator, you would have to have had 80 hours of mediation training plus 100 hours of other related training. That might be some further specialized training in mediation, but it might also be conflict resolution training, negotiation theory, etc. Anything that's related to the work that we do as mediators. You will have to have participated and led in 15 paid mediations and complete a skills assessment that is before a panel of 3 other chartered mediators. And then the next question we often get is, well, how will I know when I am ready? We really can't tell you that. It's going to depend on your level of confidence. We're happy to spend time with you to help assess where your skills are at. We can provide you with role play scenarios, and depending on what area of law that you might want to mediate in, or perhaps you just want to also be a community mediator. And there are all sorts of ways in which you can be a mediator, and your comfort level with the information that it will be necessary for you to have to facilitate people having these very important conversations will just depend on what your background is and what courses you've taken and how many role plays that you've practiced and what kinds of socialized learning you've participated in. And each person is an individual that will need to assess for themselves when they are ready. Don't forget that there are ways in which you can develop that competency over and above the various different training options. Regularly participating in mediation practice group and volunteering for role plays is huge. You might also want to co-mediate with somebody else who's either experienced or is also starting off. You might seek out opportunities even within your current workplace where you recognize that there's conflict and you offer to step into that space as a neutral third party to facilitate the crucial conversation that needs to happen utilizing the mediation process. We invite you to contact us to discuss further. You can visit our website at www.commonsensemediation.ca to check out our frequently asked questions page. You could also email us at admin@commonsensemediation.ca and ask us any questions that you might have or to register for any of our programs. Above all else, though, we really do invite you and encourage you to join the mediation practice group, sign up to be part of our workspace on Slack, and come out on Tuesday nights to get to know other people that have the same passion that you have, learn more, practice more, and together we can build a healthy gold standard mediation community. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and we look forward to seeing you soon.